Good morning, everybody. Redwood the Red coming to you once again this morning from Louisville, Kentucky. I don't know how well you guys can see me. I can't really see myself too well. Maybe it's the glare from the sun. I don't know. A couple of things that I want to address first before I go into my reports. Personally, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm sick to death of these Izans, known more commonly as the Big D's, claiming that all white people are more advantaged financially, economically than those of color. Let me explain to you why. I've told you guys before what my childhood was like. I'm going to go into this a little more depth for you. If white people are so much more economically advantaged than those of color, why is it that the vast majority of black kids when I was growing up, whether they lived in poverty or not, they had electricity and running water? They didn't live in a house that was literally a barn before they moved into it. They had nice little apartments, okay? Very nice apartments. They still do. Subsidized or not. Let me tell you what I'm going to go into this in depth, more depth than I did last time. Before my parents moved us into that pathetic excuse for a house that we lived in, it was literally being used for housing both small and large animals. We're talking poultry, like chickens, ducks, geese, horses, cows, goats. Yeah, that's what it was being used for. And guess what we had to do before we could actually even move in? We had to go in, and, well, I didn't. My aunts and uncles and my dad did. Went in and shoveled. I'm talking probably at least a foot thick. That might be an exaggeration. I was a kid. But it was inches thick. Manure of various types off of the floor, and go in and clean those floors up before we could even consider moving into that place. We were staying in tents for at least a week while the adults and the older kids in my family went in and shoveled out that shit and cleaned up the floors and the house before we moved in. That is what my parents were able to afford for us to live in. So, not even taking into consideration that we had a well outside, didn't even have a pump to bring the water inside like they did on Little House on the Prairie. We were even more primitive in the 20th century than they were in Little House on the Prairie. Okay, they at least had a water pump in the house. We didn't even have that. I had to go out every day, periodically throughout the day as we needed water, and draw buckets of water out of the well and bring them into the house. Because we didn't have any plumbing. We didn't even have a pump. So, tell me how white people or white families are in any way more economically advantaged than those of color. That pisses my ass off because it's a lie from the pits of hell. Okay, let's just call it out for what it is. A lie from the pits of hell. That's what these people are trying to teach everybody. That's what they're trying to indoctrinate our youth into believing. It's a lie. Don't believe it. I am living proof that it's a lie. And when we did have a place a couple of times throughout the course of my childhood, actually it was only once that happened. For about 3 years that had both electricity and running water. Because it was all they could afford, We lived in a roach trap. Neither my sister nor myself could sleep at any time without having to brush roaches that were off of our body that were crawling on us. That's how many of them there were in that house. My sister had a pet duckling at one point. Every single time we came home from church or anywhere else and the lights came on, that duck was all over the floor eating up roaches. They were everywhere. All you had to do was turn the lights on. It was disgusting and despicable. Oh, but my family was white, so we were economically advantaged. Bullshit we were. Oh, these people make me so disgusted. Okay, now, I'm going to address something about me personally. Present. I have not been, throughout the course of my life, a stranger to intimate relations with women. And I'm not going to lie and say that I didn't like it, because I did, immeasurably so. Most of them, not all of them. Some people are just a lame lay. And that includes some men out there too, trust me. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm open to whatever God's will is for my life, okay? I am. If he says that there is a woman out there somewhere that is right for me, I'll accept her wholeheartedly. But if he brings me a man that is acceptable, that I'm compatible with, I'll go with that too. It doesn't matter to me. Whoever he brings me is who I'm going to accept. That's just the way it is. And if anybody is going to actually be willing to listen and pay attention and allow themselves to learn, not from me, but from God, just listen to the previous message. Granted, I accidentally broke a window when I was trying to get my dog to quieten down, and I cut my hand, and I realized it at some point throughout the video, but I felt it was more important to continue what I was saying than it was for me to address, the issue with my hand at that point. It wasn't bleeding badly, but it was noticeable that there was blood on my hand. At any rate, listen to that video, or that message. It's completely biblically based, and the title of that message is Bible Study with Bro Ed, okay? So just listen to it and, let God lead you. That's all I'm going to say about it. Just let God lead you. Now, getting into today's report. U.S. Marines take down, I'm going to say this, some words so that you understand what I'm saying. Some words I'm going to go ahead and just reverse their spelling. So that's all you have to do to figure out what I'm talking about if you don't know what a particular word means or who a particular group of people is that I'm talking about. U.S. Marines take out Narian drone. Nari, okay, Narian. Manhattan Island, they're both islands. Manhattan, Staten Island, Philadelphia, North Carolina, Louisville, maybe others as well, have lost power at different times throughout the course of this year. The cities of this country are under attack by someone. Is it Russia? Is it Iran? It could be. I'm not so necessarily sure about that. Be honest with you, I'm not so sure that it's not the globalist Izans themselves doing this. And I believe that it very well is. Order out of chaos. That's their motto. That's what they want. They want to bring this country to utter chaos so that they can come in and tell everybody, look at us. We got a plan. We're going to bring order out of all this, and we're going to make you comfortable again. And a lot of people are going to go for it because they're going to be tired of roughing it. Well, I ain't going to apologize to anybody for saying that I would rather rough it like I did when I was a kid, or maybe even more so, than to live anywhere that these people want to put me, because I don't trust them any farther than I can pick them up and throw them. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind they want to get everybody in centralized cities so that they know exactly where everybody is, and when the time comes that they're ready, they can come in and take anybody that they want to a concentration camp and do the same thing to them that World War II Izans did in Europe. And they will. Don't let them fool you. That's exactly what they're planning to do. And they don't care who you are. They really don't. They hate people like me. They want people like me, gay, bi, whatever I am. I don't really even care. I don't care. They want people like me being like all the rest of the people out there similar to me. Being brainwashed instead of being a free thinker. So don't even think that somebody like me is not on their shit list. I'm sure I am. I'll be one of the first people that they try to take away if I'm stupid enough, which I won't be, to let them put me in a place like that. Not gonna happen. Russia takes down 2 nuclear plants, takes them offline completely. Some sort of issues with those plants. I wonder what those issues were. Not saying, I don't think, as far as I know. Why'd they take them down? Interesting. Not really in any way sure about what the reason for that was. British Airways cancels all flights to Cairo for security reasons for at least 1 week. That's interesting. What security reasons? Why would there be any reason to be canceling flights for just a week? If you're going to cancel flights to Cairo, why not cancel them indefinitely? Or why cancel them at all? That's odd. Very odd. Narians sees British oil tanker. All sides of the coin, so to speak, decree possibility of war. As if we need that. Idiotic. Why can't people just talk things out and come to a compromise that both are able to be at peace with? Part of the reason why I'm single, because I meet very few, if any, actually I haven't met any, I don't think, really, not since I broke up with my ex for 50% the same reason. Just could not compromise about anything, had to have his way about everything all the time, or I had to be miserable until he got his way. I'm not going with that. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. You're going to either follow my lead, or you're going to be willing to compromise and come to some sort of an agreement that both of us can be at peace with every day. If you're one of those people who thinks that you got to get your way all the time, we ain't gonna work. There's no point in even trying. And I look for that attitude in people before I make a decision as to whether I'm going to even date somebody or not. If I start seeing these kinds of behaviors, I'm putting an end to that right then before it even gets too deep in any kind of way. Are we seeing at this point the beginning of the end economically? Well, I believe we are. Not only do we have the food shortage very soon to come, dramatically inflated